my name's Neil Creasy and I'm a Scaled Agile Program Consultant in Australia. Now, you might be familiar with the Scaled Agile framework's big picture as shown, and we're going to take a look at scaling Scrum the safe way. So I'll start with a familiar looking diagram of a Scrum sprint or iteration. There's a number of things happen before the sprint. We've got a project vision and it helps us with release planning through that prioritized product backlog. And in sprint planning, we take a subset of this product backlog and create the sprint backlog. Once planned, we enter the sprint and we have an implementation activities with a daily stand-up. And towards the end of the sprint, we have the review where we demonstrate what we've done in the sprint. And then we have a sprint retrospective where we'll look at how we can improve the way we work. And then finally, at the end of the sprint, we have this potentially shippable product increment, or indeed something which could be shipped in its entirety. Now, one sprint is followed by another, then another, then another. And I've indicated the boundaries between the sprints with these yellow sticks or lollipops because they represent the same way they're depicted on the SAFE diagram. Now, SAFE tells us each sprint is 2 weeks, and at an increment of 8 to 12 weeks, typically 10, we have boundary called the program increment. And activity in a program increment is like a large Scrum cycle spanning these 10 weeks. So here I've depicted the program increment boundaries again with those yellow markers to reflect the PI in the SAFE diagram. And just like the sprint, we've got a number of activities which happen before the program increment, which will abbreviate to that PI. We have PI vision, release planning, which leads to our increment planning. And then we have things which happen during the increment, so the PI syncs, like the Scrum of Scrums and product owner sync. And then towards the end of the PI, we have a review and a retrospective type activity. And then we have a shippable product increment at the end. Now, also note that the final sprint of a PI is an innovation and planning sprint. It's different to the other sprints because it does not contribute towards the shippable increments. As the name suggests, it's used for innovation and planning. Now, these program increment activities can be grouped, and there are the planning activities that collectively form PI planning. Then we have those regular synchronization activities, typically twice a Scrum so that we can coordinate activity. And finally, the review and retrospective events, along with some other activity, is handled as an event called inspect and adapt. Now, after one program increment, there is another, then another, then another, each adding to the shippable product offering by this development on cadence approach. Now, I've indicated the program increment boundaries, and this highlights well how the innovative and planning sprint is used. So the IP sprint is actually assesses the inspect and adapt from its own PI, and then provides the time for planning for the next PI. So that PI is ready to go after the PI planning event and the PI are concluded. So far, we're also just looking at the sprints or the iterations of a single team here. But in reality, when we're scaling, we've got many Scrum teams all working together in a coordinated way towards the development of the same product. With many teams, we can get more done in the same time. And we can self-coordinate a few teams, and SAFE says when we have 5 or more, we should group them as a team of teams. And we call this an Agile release train. Now, if we have more than 12 teams, we should distribute them across multiple Agile release trains. And new Agile release trains can be added or planned to start in sync with new program increments. And as we scale, we coordinate multiple Agile release trains and even non-Agile delivery, such as suppliers, through the concept of a solution train. So that this is a simplified breakdown of how we can scale Scrum with SAFe. So I consult in this space, so if you're in Australia, why not connect with me on LinkedIn? If you're doing your exam preparation, I hope this helps with the concepts, and good luck. And if this is your first look at what the Scale Agile framework offers, I hope it inspires you to learn more, and I encourage you to check out the wonderful interactive picture on the SAFe website. Thank you.